Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Chapter 10, The Rogue Bludger. Since the disastrous sixth episode of the Pixies, Professor Lockhart had not brought live creatures to class. Instead, he read passages from his books to them, and sometimes reenacted some of the more dramatic bits. He usually picked Harry to help in a simple Transylvania voyage whom Lockhart had cured. Lockhart had dealt with them. Harry was cured of a bubbling curse, a yeti with a head cold, and a vampire who had been unable to eat anything except lettuce since Lockhart had dealt with them. Harry was held to the front of the class, their very next defense against the dark arts lesson. The class during their very next defense against the dark art lesson, this time acting a werewolf. If he wasn't a very good reason for keeping Lockhart in a good mood, he would have refused to do it. Nice loud howl, Harry, exactly. And then, if you believe it, pounds like these slammed him to the floor. Thus, like with one hand, I managed to hold him down. With my other, I put my wand to the throat. I then screwed up my remaining strength and performed an immensely complex Hormorpus charm. He let out a piteous moan. Go on, Harry, higher than that. Good. The four vanished. The fangs shrank, and he turned back into a man. Simple, yeah? Effective, and another village will remember me for as the hero who delivered them from the monthly terror of werewolf attacks. The bell rang and Lockhart got to his feet. Homework, compose a poem about my defeat of the Wigga Wigga werewolf. Signed copies of Magical Me to the author of the best one. The class began to leave. Harry returned to the back of the room, where Ron and Hermione were waiting. Ready? He muttered. Wait till everyone goes, said Hermione nervously. All right. She approached Lockhart's desk, a piece of paper clutched tightly in her hand. Harry and Ron right behind her. Professor Lockhart? Hermione smirked. I wanted to get the book out of the library, just for background reading. She held out a piece of paper, her hand shaking slightly. But the thing is, it's in the restricted section of library, so I need a teacher to sign it. I'm sure it would help me understand what you say in gliding with Gowls about slow-action venoms. Gliding with Gowls, said Lockhart, taking the note Hermione and smiling widely at her. Possibly my very favorite book. You enjoyed it? Oh, yeah, said Hermione eagerly. So clever. The way you trapped the lost one with a teaspoon. Well, I'm sure no one will mind me giving the best student to the year a little extra help, said Lockhart warmly, and pulled out an enormous peacock quill. Yes, nice, isn't it? He said, misreading the revolted look on Ron's face. I usually save it for book signings. He scrawled an enormous loopy signature on the note and handed it back to Hermione. So, Harry, said Lockhart, while Hermione folded the note with fumbling fingers and slipped it in her bag. Tomorrow's the first Quidditch match of this season, I believe. Gryffindor against Slytherin, isn't it? I hear you're useful player. I was a seeker too. I was asked to try for the national squad, but preferred to dedicate my life to the erection of the dark force. Still, if ever you feel the need for a little private training, don't hesitate to ask. I'm always happy to pass on my expertise to less able players. Harry made an indignant noise in his throat and then hurried off after Ron and Hermione. I don't believe it, he said, and the three of the examined the signature on the note. He didn't even look up as the book we want. That's because he's a brainless git, said Ron. But who cares? We've got what we need. He's not a brainless git, said Hermione surely, as they half ran toward the library. Just because I said you're the best student of the year, they dropped their voice as they entered the muffled stillness on the library. Madame Prince, the librarian, was a thin, irritable woman who looked like an undreadful vulture. Most pretends potions, she repeated suspiciously, trying to take the note from Hermione. But Hermione wouldn't let go. Oh, come on, said Ron, wrenching it from her grasp and thrusting it at Madame Prince. We'll get you another autograph. Lockhart will sign anything if it stands still long enough. Madame Prince held the note up to the light, as though determined to detect a forgery, but it passed the test. She stalked away between the lofty shelves and returned several minutes later, carrying a larger, motley-looking book. Hermione put it carefully in her bag, and they left, trying not to walk too quickly or look too guilty. 5 minutes later, they were barricaded in the morning moles, out of order bathroom once again. Hermione had overridden Ron's objections by pointing out that it was the last place anyone in their right minds would go, so they were gushing for privacy. Morning Mole was crying noisily in her stall, but they were ignoring her, and she them. Hermione opened most potent potions carefully, and the three of them bent over the damp sported pages. It was clear from a glance why it belonged to restricted section. Some of the potions had effects almost too gruesome to think about, and there were some very unpleasant illustrations, which include a man who seems to be turned inside out with a witch spouting several extra pairs of arms and out her head. Here it is, said Hermione excitedly as she found the page headed The Polyjuice Potion. It was decorated with drawings of people halfway through transforming into another people. Harry sincerely hoped the artist had imagined the look of intense pain on their faces. This is the most complicated potion I've ever seen, said Hermione as they scanned their recipes. Lace wing flies, latches, fluxweed, and not grease," she murmured, running her fingers down the list of ingredients. "Well, there's easy enough. They're in the student store cupboard. We can help ourselves. Oh, look, powdered horn of a bighorn. Don't know where we're going to get the shredded skin of a boomslang. That'll be tricky, too. And of course, a bit of however we want to change into." "Excuse me?" said Ron sharply. "What do you mean, a bit of whoever we're changing into? I'm drinking nothing with Trevor's toenail in it." Hermione continued as though she hadn't heard him. "We don't have to worry for that, because we add those bits last." Ron turned speechless to Harry, who had another worry. Another worry. "Do you realize how much we're going to have to steal, Hermione? Shredded skin of a boomslang? That's definitely not in the student's cupboard. What are you going to do? Break into Sneak's private store?" "I don't know. It's a good idea." Hermione shut the book with a snap. Where bright pink patches of her cheeks and her eyes were brighter than usual. "I don't want to break rules. You know. I think threatening Muggle-borns is far worse than brewing up a bit difficult potion. But if you don't want to find out it's Malfoy, I'll go straight to Madame Prince now and hand the book back in." "I never thought I'd see the day when you're persuading us to break the rules," said Ron. "All right, we'll do it, but not toenails, okay?" "How long will it take to make anyway?" said Harry as Hermione, looking happier, opened the book again. "Well, since the Flocksweed has got to peek at the full moon and the lacewings have got to be stewed for 21 days, I said it will be ready in about a month. If we get all the ingredients." "A month?" said Ron. Malfoy could have attacked half the Muggle-borns in the school by then." But Hermione's eyes narrowed dangerously again, and he added swiftly, "But it's the best plan we've got, so full steam ahead, I say." However, while Hermione was checking that the coast was clear for them to leave the bedroom, Ron muttered to Harry, "It'll be a lot less hassle if you can just knock Malfoy off his broom tomorrow." Harry woke early on Saturday morning and lay for a while thinking about the coming Quidditch match. He was nervous, mainly at the thought of what was said if Gryffindor lost, but also the idea of facing a team wanted to beat Slytherin so badly. After half an hour of lying there with his inside churning, he got up, dressed, and went down to the breakfast early, where he found all the rest of the Gryffindor team huddled at the long empty table, all looking uptight and not speaking much. As 11 o'clock approached, the whole school started to make its way down to the Quidditch stadium.